What's up, everybody? Welcome back to P&W Whiskey Society. I'm Grady.
I'm Jason. Hey, today we've got a really cool special deal for you. We got a father-son. This is Brad and his son Bradley. And guys, thank you for having us over. This is a really cool little bunker bar we've got going on here today. So let's jump right into it. What got you guys started into whiskey, and where are you at now kind of on your whiskey journey?
Go ahead. I'd have to say Stallone.
Stallone?
Yeah, we were watching, what was the latest Rocky that came out probably 5 years or so ago? And he walks into a bar. He does it a couple of times. And she says, yeah, what do you have? And he's like, yeah, you got a bowl of bourbon. Oh, yeah. And they didn't, of course, because nobody had heard of Bulliet.
Oh, that's so funny.
And so he says, let me rent a rocks glass. That's not a very good Stallone. And then he pulls just their
Standard
straight bourbon out of his coat. He rents a rocks glass for like $10, awesome. Which is probably illegal, but he's in Philly, so maybe it is. And I just thought that was cool. I always thought Stallone was cool. He was kind of from my generation, and so I started buying Bullet bourbon. That's awesome. And even though it's tastes like a rye root dipped in cheese.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better because I'm not sure what I had been sipping on up until then, but it probably was not very good.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. Unmemorable.
And so, then Bradley saw it. And
so where it came in for me was, Dad was drinking Bullet, and I had just turned 21, and Dad and I were never really close and had that father-son relationship growing up. And so he was like, hey, for your 21st birthday, why don't we have a drink together? I'm like, cool. Wasn't into alcohol at all other than beer, So we had Bullet, and it was on the rocks. And, I had a really hard time drinking it every day. Well, this was rough.
Yeah.
And then every holiday after that, special occasion, Dad was like, hey, let's have a drink together. Cool. So that's where it kind of came in for me. And I ended up was like, Dad, let's try it without the ice and kind of start sipping on it and picking out some notes. And then we did. And that's where it kind of started for both of us.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it blossomed. Yeah.
Stepped up to Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He pours the basil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't need any ice with that, do you? I lovingly refer to Basil Hayden as the Coors Light of bourbon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our girls, it was so cool. My kids, and the reason Bradley and I didn't have a close childhood growing up, because after I saw that movie, I was in the bar drinking Bullet bourbon. So, I missed all his sports games and all that stuff. Keep the differences on. I'm like, you're not wrong, but Bullet bourbon. Yeah. But no, so anyways, I just worked a lot. I still do. But it's kind of my vice is working too much. But as we got into bourbon, that's one of the things that's really helped us build our bond, because it's something we do together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, we always drink responsibly. Yeah. So it's really, I don't know, it's really helped our relationship. We have a lot of fun together, searching it,
that's
playing it. We find something, he'll find something online. We've always fished together a little bit, just haven't had a lot of time. But anyway, so then I think I was watching a review, and they did the barrel strength of Bullet, and he was I think it was Jason from Mash and Drum, nice. And he was comparing the Bullet line, and that was the one that he actually liked. So I got a bottle of that, and we tried that, and then Bradley was in Rainier. And he scored us a couple of the Rainier
single barrel. Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic, by the way. Rainier, Oregon. I'm sure they probably still have a couple in there because nobody knows about it. But it's it's different. It's a different taste.
And that's what we're trying to
do. That's what we're drinking here.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
the nose.
See what you guys think about that.
The nose.
Cheers, fellas.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Crispy cream donut.
It does smell like really sugary.
Yeah. But when you sip, it doesn't seem to be over sugary, but that nose is definitely Krispy Kreme glazed donut all day long.
4 proof.
To be fair, I've not had anything from Bullet in quite some time. This is actually it's got kind of that weird undertone of like, I don't know if it's vanilla or what it is,
Oh,
but
it's
it's like
vanilla. Oh, yeah.
it's like an artificial vanilla almost. But
Reminds me of Four Roses.
yeah, it does remind you of a young Four Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, and great story, by the way. I met both these guys together, and I never would have guessed that they didn't have like a good father-son relationship, because when I met you guys in the store, you guys were both just real jovial, real nice. Seemed like you'd been father and son just fine, and so that's an interesting story, and I'm glad you shared it. And obviously, it's brought you guys from going from Bullet to now this huge collection already, and you guys have only been really kind of hunting for like 2 years, yeah?
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Started with Bulleit, straight bourbon, and Basil Hayden.
We had
And mine, we probably got about 300 different.
I mean, that's a good jump.
Close.
I think Grady's got a good question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So I guess kind of with your journey and, with all that said, if you were to stop drinking today and say, all right, I need one more bottle to round out my collection, it could be anything, anything from your past, and for any reason, what would that bottle be? And it could be different for each of you.
That's tough.
And why?
That's a tough question.
So anything we have here in the bar, or
No.
Something maybe you don't have yet.
Something you don't
we
have.
would like to get.
Yeah, something maybe you're chasing.
And it can be impossible to get. We're okay with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, for example,
It's a hypothetical.
we had someone that said that their bottle would be something from the 70s for a reason,
Wow.
because
Dusty.
it does because it was family related.
Wow.
Mine would be a 2016 WLW because it's tied up in a memory. Jason's would be probably some George She Stag because it's tied up in a memory.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where that unicorn bottle would typically come from.
Absolutely.
Maybe yours would be something Bullet related. Maybe it would be something William LaRue Weller related.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a thinker.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
That is a tough question.
Anything pop into mind?
Well, I could probably give you my top 10. I don't know. To one, I mean, that's like asking somebody who's your favorite kid.
Yeah.
I got 6 kids and 6 grandkids, and to try to pick a favorite, maybe on any given day would be tough. Some days it might be easy, but generally overall. And I think my palate changes from day to day too. So I'll have something that I think is just super, and Bradley and I both experienced this, and then we'll go back into it, and we're like, it wasn't quite like we remembered it, or vice versa. We dump out the neck pour and we taste it and we hate it, and then a month later it's one of our favorites. So
That's fair. You don't have to pick one. That's the first time somebody's really just been like, nope.
But to just have one that I would I think I'd agree with you on the WLW.
Okay.
I could settle for one bottle for the rest of my life if it was that, probably.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last thing, surprise question. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good, brother. Honestly, as simple as it is, I mean, I think I would just be happy with a Stag Junior Batch 12.
Stag Junior Batch 12.
Nice.
Batch 12.
Nice.
That was the first.
Not a bad pick.
That was the first class bottle that I ever tried at a bar, and it was the first time you and I actually went to a bourbon bar. Last year.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
and
we had a couple of solid pours.
Yeah, they had a Batch 12 fresh crack, and they're like, "You're gonna crack her open." I'm like, "Sweet," and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so I've always searched for one, and the closest thing I could find to it was Stag 22A. So
Okay.
that was the closest thing.
We did a podcast on just stags,
That's
so
a great
Yeah.
bottle,
we didn't go back as far as 12 though.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I think if you were to have an opportunity maybe to work at a distillery or do something in the whiskey bourbon business, is there maybe something in particular that, like, if you were to change jobs now and say, all right, you're going to make the same amount of money you do now doing something in the whiskey industry, do you have an idea what that might be?
Well, it's in the industry. It's not at a particular distillery, but I would probably like to go to the OLCC warehouse and try to straighten that.
Heck yeah.
Hey,
So
That's
everyone
awesome.
has
That's
a
a good
good
answer.
hands on some decent bottles.
no, that's a good answer.
See what they're doing.
Change the system from the inside. I like it.
Exactly. And then maybe the secondary market would kind of start to fizzle out. I'd like to see that. I'm not a big fan of that. I am a fan of capitalism,
Sure,
Um,
100%.
I'm kind of on the fence, but I think some people do exploit that a bit.
Yeah.
And I think if you have access to it when it's coming in the door and you're working for a state, the entity that's controlling it, I think that's a huge conflict of interest. And I think we should drag them out in the street and tar and feather them.
You know,
I'm catching them doing that.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
Bradley, what about you?
That's what our founders would have done.
I think what I would want to do working for like a distillery, I would want the job, and I haven't done my research, so forgive me. I don't know what the proper, grammar or words would be for this, but I want to be the guy that would go through each barrel and taste test it.
Yeah, the
And-
tasting.
Yeah,
Same.
Yeah, that's what I would want to do.
We taste all the good stuff for free.
Yeah, and if I got to choose a distillery to do that, I would choose either between Buffalo Trace or Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill's a fantastic distillery.
Yep.
So
I want to taste all the Wellers and barrel strength.
that would be awesome.
Give me
Absolutely.
the Wellers at barrel strength.
Yep.
You know?
I want to taste it all at barrel strength. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
and-
that's what.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Bradley. Thank you for inviting us into your home. It's lovely. Join us next week on Pacific Northwest Whiskey Society.
Yeah. And if you would want to be featured on our podcast, please reach out to one of us. Comment on our page, Instagram, all the socials, all the things. Yeah.
All the jobs.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.
Peace.